This is Jocko Podcast number 73 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo.
Good evening.
It has been quite a few episodes since we did some Q&A and answered some questions from the interwebs. Mm-hmm. We had a series of guests, hit a couple books, and just kind of slid a little bit on Q&A. So, Q&A.
Yeah.
Let's rock.
Let's.
Question number one.
Question number one, yeah. Boom. Question number one. Jocko, do you have to make a conscious effort not to overreact to situations, or is it natural/ingrained now?
I would say at this point, it's fairly ingrained. And I don't overreact to a lot of stuff anymore. In fact, sometimes I just don't react to stuff.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, when things are going on, I'll just be sort of, okay, yep, nod the head, listen to what's happening, listen to the people freaking out. And I don't overreact to a lot of stuff. I think it's pretty ingrained right now. And I would say that in order to get there, in order to try and move in that direction, because that is the best way to be. Again, I'm not saying to be a robot. Right. I'm not saying you should have no emotions and you should never show any. I'm not saying that. Right. But you should have some control over those emotions, especially from a leadership perspective, right? That's what I'm talking about here, from a leadership perspective. So one of the things that you can do is when chaos starts to hit, picture that. What does this look like from the outside? What do I look like from the outside? When somebody says something to you that's traumatic or is going to cause a disturbance or is going to cause problems, immediately think to yourself, okay, what am I going to look like from the outside right now? What am I going to look like to them if they're recording this in your head, like they're recording this and we're going to go sit down and watch it later? When they first came out in the SEAL teams, when we started recording people as they entered rooms and as we did primarily close quarters combat scenarios. So you got guys in tight quarters and they're making very quick decisions. And you start seeing what you look like. Yeah. And it makes you better. That's one of the reasons why you do it. It's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. You watch the tape or MMA, you watch the tape of what someone's doing. In football, they do that in every sport, right? They watch the tape, see what you look like, see what mistakes you made. So when someone hits you with something that's disturbing or is going to cause problems, picture that you're being recorded and you're going to have to watch the play-by-play later with your team and look at how much you lost your temper or how much you got frazzled and what a disaster you were. So that's what I would picture, or as you start to move in the direction of, hey, I'm not going to get frazzled by problems. I'm just going to listen. I'm going to assess. I'm going to make decisions and move forward. Yeah. Pretty easy. Yeah. Pretty simple.
Dang, yeah, that play, when they say play, let's go to the videotape, let's play. And in football, in meetings, they, big screen, projector.
Look at Echo.
The little laser pointer. Yes, exactly. So when you mess up, and everyone's looking, what are you doing here? They pause it, and it shows you like mid mess up. It's like they put you on the stage and just throw tomatoes at you. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's how you get better, though.
Yeah, agree. Totally agree. And in a way, I told you I used to do this where it had to do with more like getting mad. Like if I find myself getting mad, or same thing, overreaction, kind of, where I'd really shame myself, kind of like, man, that's embarrassing, you got mad, kind of thing. So it would be on my mind the whole time, where anytime I felt myself getting mad, it'd be on my mind. Like, oh, look at me, I'm being one of those guys. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing, but it's in your own head kind of thing.
Yeah, and it really boils down to something I talk about all the time, detachment.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Being able to picture yourself, what do I look like right now? Am I appearing to be a panicked, stricken loser?
Yes.
Or
loser.
am I a calm, cool, collected leader that's going to step up, make a good decision, assess the situation, and move forward?
Yeah.
Let's look like that guy.
The winner, the leader. What about if you're like, what about if you're tired? like you didn't get a lot of sleep for a few
Are
days.
you serious right now?
Yeah.
No factor.
Okay, it doesn't affect you. You know, people are more
You're
irritable.
right. You're right. People get irritable when they get tired.
Yeah.
Which I actually find amusing.
Yeah, but that's a real thing.
Yeah, it is a real thing.
You know, it's
so
like,
you know what that means? You need to, if you're one of those people that's going to be in that mode, you need to be aware of that, and you need to focus even more on not overreacting and acting like a baby because you're tired.
Like a baby, yeah, exactly. That's a good way. Like a baby.
Yeah, like a baby.
Yeah.
What does a baby do? Start crying.
Yes, and that's actually kind of the point there, where you know I used to be one of the before I had kids. You know how when the kid is acting up. You know, your friend's kid is acting up, and then you're like, oh, what a bratty kid. But the parent of the kid always is like, oh, he's just tired, or she's just tired. Yeah. And you're like,
you thought it was a lie.
She's just tired. No, your kid is a brat. That's what you kind of think. You know, your kid's not tired. He's a brat.
Always judging.
No, I think most people without a kid, that's how. And after a while, especially when you have kids, you start to realize, oh, yeah, man, there's a difference in kids' behavior.
Yeah.
And it must be fundamental because this is a 1-year-old we're talking about. You know, it's not like he learned to start crying when he's tired. It's like when you're tired, you're just less patient. Even as an adult, you ever been tired and you're like waiting for something? Whatever, bro. When you're tired and you're waiting for something and it's not coming like as quick as you expected or what you're used to.
Here's the problem that I run in with waiting or being held up, or when this is how I realized I was a control freak, kind of, is going to the airport. Because if you're running late in the airport, you can't control TSA. They're going to take, and of course, if I'm on time for my flight, waiting in the TSA line for 5 minutes is not a big deal at all. If I'm late for my flight, 5 minutes is an eternity, and they're pathetic, and they're losers, and they're slow, and it's all on me. It's all on me because I went to the airport late. So I get to the airport early because I don't like to have the feeling of things I can't control. So I'm going to do the best to mitigate it. That's one of those situations. If you get all tired and then you get all angry and you start crying like a baby, then guess what? Get more sleep. And or because sometimes you don't have the choice and you get less sleep, so put yourself in check and try and get control of those emotions instead of acting like a baby. I put in the Warrior Kid book, one of the lines is Mark, he's all bummed out, and the line was, he started crying like a baby. And the editors were like, you might not want to say that, it kind of gives a bad thing about crying.
Like
crying's bad and crying's babyish. And I said, well, no, actually, you're crying like a baby, and babies cry. And when you're a 10-year-old kid, you shouldn't be crying like a baby. And it's him saying about himself, So they were a little sensitive about that one, but once I kind of debriefed him on it, we were good. The line remained. Mark, in his own words, broke down and started crying like a baby. So.
Yeah, because crying like a baby technically is not the same thing as just normal crying for stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you're crying like because why they say crying like a baby, really? It's probably because babies cry for literally everything, right? Anything that they're not happy about, the baby cry because he doesn't know how to talk. So if you're crying like a baby, you're just crying for every little thing.
Every little thing.
There you go. But if you're just crying over, Hawaii Five-0 or whatever the movie is you're watching, then that's way different. You know what I'm saying?
The line remained. That's the good thing.
That's the key right there. Next question.